Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on a video of mine. Today, we're going to do part 2 of the all winners ranking. We're ranking every single winner in Survivor, and you love it, I love it. Let's get into it. Danny Boatwright. Danny Boatwright, for me, plays a very similar game to Chris. I would say a bit less impressive, and that's why I have to put her behind Chris. I think Danny Boatwright plays like that game where she comes in with the less than majority. Some of her allies, they put up a fight, but eventually they go out, and it's just her. Like Gary and Bobby John and Brandon, just like how Chris had Sarge and Rory and Chad. And then once it's just them left, they win, a challenge or two, but I will say Danny had to win that final immunity. Now, I will give her credit because she got the advantage at the auction to win. Sorry, not the final immunity. The immunity when she was the last one from Yashal left. Whereas in what's it called? Chris did not have to win that immunity at final seven. Danny did. And so I have to give Chris the credit because Danny did not have to win the first immunity where she was the person in the minority left, whereas in Chris did not. But I will say Danny plays a similar game as Chris did, and therefore she goes behind Chris. I think her most impressive vote is definitely at Final Four when she convinces Rafe and Stephanie not to vote her out, because if she gets voted out there, Rafe and Stephanie are in a lot better spots to vote out Lydia at Final Three and or take Lydia, and they both have a really good chance. Whereas in Danny beats all of them. Danny beats Lydia, Stephanie, and Rafe, and somehow she convinces all three of them to take her. Obviously, but besides Lydia, and so for that reason, I do really feel like Danny plays a really good game. It's just not as good as Chris, but it's a very similar game, and therefore that's why she's hanging out with Chris in the top of the B. Aris, Bush, whatever. I'd say Aris is going to go behind Vesepia. I think Aris plays a fantastic game. I think Aris is really underrated as a player in Panama, because of the fact that he was set up. He beats anybody in that post merge except for Terry, probably. He beats Suri because he has those relationships with the other girls on Kasaya. Um, Even though I'd rather see Suri win, I think he beats Suri. I think he beats Bruce. I think he beats Courtney. I think he beats what's the other one? Courtney. I think or who is it? Danielle. Obviously he beats Danielle because he beat her in real life. I think he beats um, all of the Laminas except for Terry. I think he beats all of them except for Terry, and I think that's really impressive. I do have to fault him because if Danielle does not take him at final three, he loses. It's straight up. He puts all of his faith in Danielle and on a challenge. Or so if Terry uh, wins the challenge, he's 100% screwed because he's going to lose either way, whether he gets voted out at three or gets to the end and loses, or Danielle wins, which is what actually happened, and then Danielle, is forced to make a decision. And so I feel like he does have a flaw there, but I feel like he had so many passes to the end, and all of them resulted in him winning, and therefore I have to put him at bottom of A tier for me. In fact, I'm going to move Sandra down to top of C tier. Okay. Yul Yul's at the top of B tier for me at this point. I feel like Yul plays a fantastic game with the cards he's dealt. I do say he relies on an overpowered idol, and he makes a very, very, very critical an unwarranted risk at the Penner swing vote where Penner flips over, because if Penner had just not flipped over, and then Yule would have had to use the idol, and they would have voted out Nate, and they would have still had the numbers. I really feel like that could have ended his game, and he wouldn't have the idol. So really, he put his game on Penner, and that's not a game that you want to play. But then again, what was he supposed to do when Penner and Candace, mutiny over to the other tribe? So I think he plays the game good. I just think there's like flaws in this game, and there's things that could have happened, although you can't think like that, and so that's why he's not down in like C or anything like that. But I do not think he's at Aris, Vesepia, Tina levels. And for that reason, I have to put him in top of B tier, but he's definitely close to bottom of A tier for me. Earl Cole. Earl Cole is up in S tier for me. I think Earl plays a fantastic game. He's in front of Richard. I think you know what? At this point, he plays the best game. Earl plays the strategically dominant game that Rich plays. and Earl plays the Tom's game without the immunity challenges. Earl is the most physically tough person out there, probably in the post merge. In the fact that he does not have to win any challenges to get to the end. He beats all of his closest allies. He beats anyone on the entire cast. And the fact that both Dreams, Cassandra, and Yao were trying to take him to the end, and Yao admitted post game that Earl beats him, and so I feel like Earl just played an all around dominant game, pre merge and post merge. There really is not much to say about his game that can't be said by watching Fiji. I mean, it's very simple that he was going to win from the start. He had control pre swap, post swap, merge, finale, everything. Final tribal, it really didn't matter, and then he wins. He wins unanimously, and he would have had a perfect game if the first boot didn't just put some random boat on him. So yeah, for me, I feel like it's really easy to say that Earl has played the best game up to this point. Todd, Todd. Todd. I'm wondering whether Tina goes ahead of Todd. Okay, Tina had the Onion Alliance. She was going to be in the finals from basically the early point in the game. So did Todd. What's like the difference maker? Oh, I got it. Todd. Todd had to blindside John, Robert, and James. Tina never really had to blindside any big threats in her game, and therefore Todd's ahead of her. But yeah, going to Todd again, dominant pre-swap, had a great plan post-swap that was ruined by Denise not being able to eat food. For me, I feel like Todd was just on a different level, and that's why he's really close to S tier. But I can't put him in S tier, one, because there's way too many people in S tier already, and we're only 15 seasons in, and three people there, and I'm trying to limit it to like 4 people, or sorry, no, like 5 or 6 people maybe. Um, so it's tough. I do think that Todd overall plays a very good game, and I think that if Todd goes up against a lot of people, he wins. The reason why he's not in S tier is because he loses to James, and I feel like he had to rely on like his alliance voting out all of these gigantic threats in the early merge. I feel like he needed that final tribal performance that he gave, which I'll give him credit because he gave it. And so his game is really good. It's just there's like a teeny little bits that aren't perfect for me. Parvati shallow, Parvati goes ahead of Todd. I think Parvati's the second best player on her season behind Suri. She does everything that Suri does, except Suri would have beat her in a final tribal. That's the only reason why Suri's behind Suri, or Parvati's behind Suri. Really, she plays. I talked about how the game that Suri played in Micronesia for the final jurors ranking, and everything that I said for her goes for Parvati, minus the fact that she could not beat Suri at Final Tribal, which is what she planned for, is for a Final Three, and she ended up, getting saved by the fact that there was a Final Two against Amanda. But I think overall she plays a super dominant game, and I have to put respect on her name. Bob Crowley. Bob Crowley is again going to be in the D tier. I'm tempted. Do I put him? Okay, he was in the majority alliance, but then he wasn't because Marcus got blindsided. Whereas Jenna at least went in with the majority alliance. Okay, yeah, okay. I put Jenna at ahead of Bob. Bob and Jenna share a similar thing where they had to win challenges to get to the end. Um, Bob just does the fire at the end. That's the only difference with that. I think they both go in with the majority alliance, like towards like the middle of the game, but then Bob's blows up because Marcus gets voted out, which is actually great for his game, because if Marcus stayed, Bob would have got cut at 5. And then Jenna's gets blown up because Rob Sessanito exists. And so I feel like Bob had to literally just get dragged to the end by other people, and then have sure go crazy at Final Four and tie the vote so that he could beat Maddie, and his final tribal council is terrible. It's awful, and I feel like for that reason he is the worst at this point. JT goes way back up to A tier. JT is um it's tough because JT was like JT would have beaten anyone on his season, and for that reason, I feel like I'd put him behind Parvati. I feel like JT plays the best social game we've ever seen in Survivor. He had people wanting him to win, wanting to make sure that he won. Brendan literally was like, "How do I get JT to win the game?" That's so impressive. He beats anybody on that entire season. He aligns with the big strategist and Steven, and they run the game together. They cut Taj when they needed to cut Taj, and he gives a great final tribal by acting dumb and playing country boy and ostracizing Steven for playing the game. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Natalie White, top C tier. Natalie White does exactly what Amber does, just slightly better. Um, even though Amber, because Amber loses because Rob went into final tribal and mismanaged his jury. Natalie beats Russell because Natalie just had the win going into final tribal. I feel like she played a really good social game, whereas an Amber just played a she, Amber did not play a good social game. She just was going up against Rob. Whereas Natalie won because of her social game. Amber won because people were mad at Rob. And I feel like for that reason, Natalie plays a better version of Amber's game. And so I have to give her respect. Obviously, she didn't have any strategical say. People say, oh, she did the Eric vote. Yeah, so did Russell. They showed it because she was the winner, and they wanted to give her somewhat a winner's edit. She didn't really seem like she was strategically in the game, and for that reason, she's going to go top of C tier for me. And the queen, Sandra Diaz Twine, her games are going back to back right there. I'll put it below Amber because at least Amber beat Rob because Rob mismanaged his jury. Sandra beats Parvati and Russell because she fails to eliminate Russell. She did not the whole game. She's trying to get out Russell when she has no idea that she's going to beat Russell. She doesn't have the social awareness to realize that Russell's a goat. And I feel like that's like the biggest thing that I can take away from her game being lower than her Perron's game is because she wanted to go to the end with what's it called, Lil and Tawana and Dara, whereas in Sandra did not want to go to the end against Russell and Parvati, which I feel like that's a huge flaw in her game, and she kind of just swiggled her way to the end of the game. She couldn't convince Rupert and all of the heroes to work with her at the merge, which, by the way, would have been the easiest um, uh, way to or flip of all time. She literally just had to convince them that Russell Hantz was being a villain, and she literally couldn't even do that. I feel like Sandra overall just fails, and for that reason, she ends up at the bottom of the C tier. Thank you guys so much for clicking on these videos. 81% of you guys aren't subscribed. It's really easy. It's really free, and let's just change that. So if that's all, thank you for watching.